We've all heard the tales of the scary experiences that people have had with extraterrestrials, yet we don't really hear about the way in which those interactions actually change some people's lives for the better. There are many individuals who report that their encounters with extraterrestrials actually led to positive life changes. While these encounters are often met with skepticism, some of the people involved say that their encounters inspired profound growth, personal transformation, and even healing. Let's talk about some of these people and their experiences with UFOs and extraterrestrials. Whitley Strieber, an American author, is best known for his personal accounts of alien abductions and interactions, which he detailed in his 1987 book Communion. Strieber's experiences began in the early 1980s, during which he was subjected to numerous encounters with non-human entities, often referred to as the visitors or the others. His descriptions of these abductions are vivid, unsettling, and have contributed significantly to the modern alien abduction phenomenon. Strieber's experience began in December 1985 when he was living in a remote cabin in upstate New York with his wife Anne. One night, while all alone, Strieber had a strange and unsettling experience that would mark the beginning of what he believed were alien abductions. He recalls feeling a sense of dread and unease during the night, though he couldn't pinpoint why. He eventually drifted off to sleep, but the atmosphere in his room seemed to change. He woke up to find himself unable to move, experiencing a form of paralysis. Strieber reports seeing shadowy figures in the room, which were later identified as alien beings. These entities were not the stereotypical greys commonly depicted in UFO lore, but rather appeared as humanoid figures with large expressive eyes and unsettling features. He also felt an overwhelming sense of fear and helplessness as these beings began to interact with him. Strieber describes the creatures as both physically imposing and disconcertingly alien in their presence, communicating with him in ways that he couldn't fully understand. The beings did not speak with words, but seemed to transmit their thoughts directly into his mind. Strieber was unable to resist or fight back against their presence, as he was paralyzed and unable to control his body. After this initial encounter, Strieber reports that the abductions became a regular occurrence, often happening on multiple occasions over the following years. Each event was similar in nature but varied in detail. Strieber would often awaken during the night to find himself in a state of paralysis or altered consciousness, with the alien entities present in the room. In some cases, he would be taken aboard a craft, which he described as metallic and sterile. The craft seemed to have strange, non-human technology that Strieber couldn't fully comprehend. The entities themselves were not just observers, but seemed to be conducting experiments on him. Strieber recalls feeling as though they were probing his body, performing procedures that were invasive and disturbing. At one point, he mentions being examined in a way that made him believe the beings were collecting genetic material. The interactions were often accompanied by a profound sense of emotional and physical distress. In one specific instance, Strieber recounts waking up in the middle of an abduction, only to find himself surrounded by several alien beings. He was seemingly transported to a different space or dimension, where he felt disoriented and overwhelmed. Strieber has often focused on the darker, more unsettling aspects of his experience with extraterrestrials. However, interwoven with the chilling and mysterious aspects of his encounters, Strieber has also described moments that brought about profound positive change, both in his personal life and in his understanding of the universe. One of the most significant ways Strieber's experiences with extraterrestrials positively impacted his life was in the realm of personal growth and spiritual awakening. After years of being haunted by the traumatic nature of his initial abductions, Stryber began to realize that his interactions with the visitors were not simply about physical examination or scientific study. Over time, he came to understand these beings' actions as being deeply connected to a larger purpose, one that involved not just his body, but his mind and soul. Stryber began to recognize that these beings might be trying to communicate with him on a higher level. He described his encounters as increasingly telepathic, involving more direct forms of communication, and suggested that the visitors were attempting to impart knowledge to him about the nature of consciousness and the universe itself. For Stryber, these experiences became an entry point into a deeper understanding of reality and the mysteries of human existence. He began to see the visitors less as alien creatures imposing themselves on him, and more as cosmic teachers, offering insights that could help him transcend the limitations of the physical world. This shift in perception was crucial in Stryber's evolution. He began to feel that the visitors, in their own enigmatic way, were trying to guide him toward a higher state of awareness. As he engaged in these experiences, Stryber often spoke about how his abductions were not only about external encounters, but about an internal transformation. His books such as Transformation, 1988, and The Secret School, which came out in 1996, reflect this evolving belief, as he delves into the idea that the visitor's presence was helping him evolve spiritually and intellectually. The experience, he contended, were nudging him to become more aware of the interconnection between all living beings and the universe itself. One of the most profound positive outcomes of Stryber's encounters was his deepened sense of spirituality. Prior to his experiences, Stryber, like many individuals, had grappled with the nature of existence, the afterlife, and the possibility of a higher power. However, the visitor's presence and the strange but undeniably real nature of the encounters prompted Stryber to think beyond conventional religious doctrine. He began to see the visitors as part of a broader cosmic reality that transcended human understanding, and he became increasingly open to the idea that life, consciousness, and the universe were interconnected in ways that humankind had yet to fully comprehend. Stryber has spoken about how the visitor's guidance often left him with a sense of peace and a greater acceptance of his own life's mysteries. He noted that the visitors never seemed to be threatening, though their actions could be perplexing or unsettling. Stryber felt that their presence in his life, particularly in later encounters, was an invitation to expand his consciousness, accept the unknown, and embrace the possibility that humanity was on the cusp of a major transformation in terms of our understanding of ourselves and the universe. In his book Breakthrough, 1995, Stryber elaborates on how he came to believe that these experiences were leading humanity to a more enlightened state. He speculated that the visitors were not simply observing human beings, but were involved in helping us unlock hidden potentials within ourselves, potential that might reshape human society in profound ways. This idea brought him a sense of optimism as he began to see his personal journey and the collective human journey as part of a larger evolutionary arc that was designed to bring humanity into greater alignment with the universe's mysteries. Furthermore, Stryber also noted that these encounters encouraged him to explore his own fears and limitations. The constant presence of the visitors forced him to confront the unknown, an act that many would find terrifying, but which Stryber found to be deeply liberating. Rather than clinging to the familiar and the safe, Stryber learned to embrace the unknown. This shift in mindset allowed him to approach other aspects of his life with a new sense of freedom and curiosity. He became less concerned with his external validation and more focused on understanding the deeper aspects of his own existence. In this way, the visitor's intervention brought about a kind of personal liberation. Stryber's newfound openness to life and the mysteries of life and the universe had another positive impact. It helped repair his relationships, particularly with his family. The trauma and confusion brought about from his initial encounters initially strained his marriage and relationships with others. Yet as Stryber came to terms with his experiences and began to embrace their deeper meaning, he found greater peace with himself. His openness to discussing the phenomena, coupled with his growing understanding of the visitor's potential purpose, allowed him to communicate more openly with those around him, creating a more balanced and harmonious life. Another positive effect of Stryber's encounters was his transformation into a thought leader within the UFO and paranormal communities. While many were initially skeptical or dismissive of his claims, Stryber's willingness to share his experiences and the insights he gained from them gradually earned him respect as someone deeply engaged with the subject of extraterrestrial contact. His work has inspired others to consider the potential for a deeper, more meaningful relationship with the unknown, encouraging open-minded exploration of what alien encounters might truly mean for humanity. Stryber's life ultimately was profoundly altered by his experiences with the visitors. He moved from a place of confusion and fear into a state of greater understanding, curiosity, and spiritual growth. His encounters, though often challenging, gave him the opportunity to expand his consciousness and reassess his beliefs about life, death, and the universe. For Stryber, the extraterrestrials were not just distant, mysterious beings. They were catalysts for a personal and collective transformation that could have far-reaching consequences for humanity's future. In conclusion, Whitley Stryber's positive encounters with extraterrestrials brought about an unexpected, life-changing shift in his personal philosophy, spirituality, and worldview. Far from simply being terrifying or confusing, these experiences opened him to a deeper understanding of reality, spirituality, and the interconnectedness of life. His journey reflects a profound transformation, one that shows how even the most inexplicable or unsettling events can lead to enlightenment and positive change. Through his writings and public discourse, Stryber continues to share his story, offering a perspective that encourages openness to the unknown and to the possibility of human evolution through contact with the extraterrestrial. Thank you for listening to today's video. This is part 1 of spiritual enlightenment from alien encounters, positive encounters with aliens, and stay tuned for part 2. Please like, share, and subscribe, and check out my playlist below, and I'll see you next time. Peace, Earthlings.